Please, good morning, everyone. Please kindly confirm that you can hear me. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, DSN, for this opportunity once again. I am honored to be among the facilitators for I am honored to be one of the facilitators for the free AI training in every city. Once again, my name is Mbotidem Awak, and we are just going to be picking up from where we left off in our previous session, which was yesterday. So if you were here yesterday, I just want to see some thumbs up that you have been consistent with your classes right from the day one, which was Monday, to day 4. So I just want to see consistent participants. Just drop some of your favorite emojis. I'll just be looking at the chat box that you have been consistent right from Monday. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So if you're just joining us, you are welcome. Yesterday was a very interesting session, and I hope you're already participating. You're already familiarizing yourself with Power BI user interface. You already know how to import data, how to go ahead with calculated tables, calculated measures, rather calculated tables. There's nothing like calculated measures, don't mind me. You already familiarize yourself with how to go about with calculated columns, calculated tables, and measures. So we're going to be looking at how to build reports, how to visualize our data after analysis. Our topic for today is gonna be how to design a good Power BI report. I would not really use the word good, but key details to look out for when you're trying to design Power BI reports. So we're also going to start out with for designing Power BI reports in visualizations. Visualizations in Power BI is divided into two. We have visuals and we have elements. So this is what I mean by visualizations, and this is what I mean by element. You can see where I'm hovering around on my cursor. This is element and this is visual. So these are what you have on your Power BI user interface. When you launch your Power BI desktop, by default, you have all these visuals. Visualizations. Visuals are charts and graphics that allows you as a data analyst to share insights more effectively. So you can see that these are the different types of visuals that we have. We are already tired of numbers, so you cannot go ahead to be sharing. Maybe as we are going to see figures for, let's say, how much revenue is Akwa Ibom generating, how much revenue is Lagos or Ibadan generating. So this is where you go ahead to visualize. After analyzing your data, you go ahead to visualize your data for data storytelling. You can design Microsoft Power BI reports in the desktop version. You can design in desktop or you can design in the Power BI service, but you cannot design in the mobile app. The mobile application only supports for reports consumers experience. Okay. So Power BI, whenever you launch a Power BI desktop for the first time, Power BI includes over 30 core visuals, which are inbuilt and available to all report users. So you can access Power BI in the section of the visualizations pane. You can also extend the core visuals with custom visuals. There's what we call custom visuals, and custom visuals are sourced from Microsoft App Store. So that App Store is an application for, let's say, Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics 365, Power BI, or a separate Microsoft Azure web platform. So if you want a custom visuals, you have to sign in into Microsoft. You have to sign into your Power BI desktop, and you go to Microsoft App Stores, and you would see for some custom visuals. So let's talk briefly about Elements. Elements provides visual interest, but don't use semantic model data. So when we talk of they don't use semantic models data, this basically refers to when we use visuals, visuals use semantic models. We can visualize by region, we can visualize by you can visualize by, let's say, Western region, Southern region. But when we talk of elements, elements does not use our data models to visualize. So we have four of them, four types of elements. Like you can see on my screen, we have the text box, we have the buttons, we have the shapes, and we have the images. So I'm just going to be going up over them one after the other. So for text box, this is where you can add titles to your reports. This is also where you can apply font types, font size. You can apply colors. You can apply whether you want to italicize, you want to bold, or you want to underline. So these are the qualities of a text box. You can insert hyperlink. You want to insert link to your text box, you can insert it. But mostly you familiarize yourself with text box if you want to give your report a title. And for buttons, buttons are added to reports that can help the report's consumers to interact with the report. So such as for buttons, you can return to the previous page, you can navigate to a specific page, or you can drill down to a page. You can also ask questions. You can also open web using buttons. You also get to see a lot of things practically when we are going to work on a case study. Moving forward, we also have shapes. You can add shapes to your report as either a decoration or it can behave like a button. So shapes can include text and can be formatted in any style that you want. And the last one I'm going to describe is going to be the images. So for images, this is where we talk about, let's say you are working in a company and they want you to use their logo as a background. So this is where you upload an image such as the company's logo to the reports page. So it could be a JPEG, PNN, or any other type of image like GIF, TIFF, and so on. So images can behave like buttons to perform an actions. So basically, we have talked about the visualizations where we have the custom. You can also import visuals into your reports page using the Microsoft app visual. You can also use Element. Element does not support semantic models. For Element, your element is used for, let's say, for an example, for the text box, you want to give your report, and let's say you want to give it, for example, superstore sales analysis or hospital. If you are working with a hotel management report, you can just say hotel performance analysis. So it's just like you're giving your report a title. And for buttons, button is helpful for navigation. You can use back button and so on. We talk about the shapes, steps. You can use it for, you want to add, let's say maybe you want to add a background to your report, and for image, you are working with a company and you are asked to use the company logo for the background image. So moving forward, we're also going to talk about, I hope I've made justice to that. If you have any questions, we're going to take questions in the next few minutes. Moving forward, this is what reports looks like. So when you hear me talking about reports in Power BI and you are literally confused, oh, I don't know what reports looks like in Power BI. This is what reports looks like in Power BI. So I'm just going to go ahead to explain this in a few minutes. So you can see that this report is divided into 3 sections. This is contour state board stores. So this is the proposed report for analyzing cells present in 3 equal vertical regions. So this is the first region, this is the second region, and this is the third region. So please just pay ahead to my cursor. This is the first region where we have total sales by profit. This is the second region where we have customer sales by store. And this is the third region where we have sales over time. So this is how a Power BI report looks like. And you can see we have for sales year over year percentage. We also have customer sales year over year percentage. So the first region shows how sale has been broken down by product. This is sales broken down by product. We want to see which particular product is generating the most revenue to this company, content soft company. So this has been broken down. So we have different products: Power BI, PowerPoint, Excel, Power Apps, Xbox, and Teams. So Power BI is likely the report, and PowerPoint those products that are generating the most sales to this company. So the second vertical region, the second type, shows how regions is broken down by sales. So this is customer sales by store. So these are the different stores we have. We have contour store, we have natural, we have farmer, and we have Abba. So these are the different customers sales by store. And lastly, we have by region. The third one is by region, where it shows sales over time. So when we are trying to analyze by region, this is where you use your line chart. You want to show sales over time. So this is where you use your line charts. So this was to let you know that this is how, when we talk of Power BI reports, this is what you do. This is how to visualize your data. After analyzing your data, you see this is so eye-catchy. This visual, or rather this report is so eye-catchy, and so this report is so eye-catchy. We're already tired of numbers. So, you try to, after analyzing your data, you try to visualize your data. Oh, which particular product is doing perfectly? Which particular product is not doing well? Which particular product should I not be running out of sales? You know what it means when if someone walk into a supermarket and they ask you, oh, do you have golden one? And you're likely, I don't have golden one. And you know what golden one means to kids. So if you keep running out of golden money anytime a customer walk into your store, you'll likely lose customers. So most likely. So moving forward, you have seen how a Power BI report looks like, which often we are going to create these in our project. So explicitly, I'm going to talk about how to design visually appealing reports. In my previous slide, you can see how this visual is so appealing. Do I have a mess? Do I have Yes, you don't use your personal account to sign into Power BI. You can use, do you have a company you're working with? Maybe, I don't know, you can use your school account. If you're a student or if you're a company, you can use a company's account. I didn't say the third region is constant for Power BI. I'm just trying to show you what a report looks like, what a good report looks like. Let me put it that way. This is what a good report looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain to you the things you should look out for when you're trying to design your reports. When you are trying to design your report, you look out for space, you look out for margin, you look out for object spacing. I'm going to be explaining them in details using my previous slide. So you look out for size as well. You also look out for colors. You also look out for consistency. So when we talk of space, so when we talk of space in Power BI reports, you should be able to, when designing, this is what I mean by spaces in Power BI report. This is not clustering. We don't really have these two bar charts being together. They're not being joined together. So you can see there's a space between these bar charts for total sales by product and also for customer sales by store. So that's what I mean by space. So a space is essential for an effective report design because, like I said, it helps reduce clusters and it increases readability. So you can easily tell that, oh, this is for total sales by product. The next bar chart is for customer sales by store. And the last one is for sales over time. And you can tell that this is for sales. This is, though this visual is not interactive, this is for sales and this is for return. So these spaces, it helps you. It's for readability. It also your help keeping spaces when redesigning your report also helps for page margins and the spaces between your report objects. So you can see these are the spaces between my report objects. And if you can see at the top here, these are just my some space margin. So having said that, the next one we are going to move on to is just going to be the margin. I don't know if I have, okay, yes, I have picture. I have a report for margin. So for margin, we are going to talk about how to lay out margins in your report. So this includes border areas. So these are the border areas or the edge around each pages. You can see these dotted lines, the ones dotted in red. So these are your margins. These are your margins, your edges, and so on. So these are your margins. So your margin sizes should be equal. I'm going to repeat that. You can see that this top, where we have the sidebar, the left-hand side of the margin line and the right-hand side of the margin line, they should be equal on the left and on the right, but with possible variation on the top and the bottom. So you can see that the top and the bottom, the lines are not equal, it's just a slight variation. But when we talk of your left-hand side and your right-hand side, they should be equal. And then spaces across the top or buttons. For example, you can see we have spaces across this top as slicers. This is our slicers. This is our key metrics. So the spaces across them, there should be some spaces across them so to make your report readable. So this report shows how we have, for this report, you have seen how consistent spacing that we have, and this is highlighted in dashed line. Having said that, we're also going to look at another angle about the space. I've talked about the report, or rather the margin. I'm going to talk about the object spacing. So I'm still going to use this as a case study. So when we refer to as object spacing, what do you really mean by object spacing? So these are just the line around our report. So you can see for these key metrics, for an example, these key metrics you see, there is a space between these key metrics. So this is an object. The spaces between units sold and total sales. You can also see for total sales and you can also see for total sales and units sold. So between our objects, you can see some spaces between the PY sales, unit return, and inventory. So having said that, we're also going to look out for size. For size, we have page size and visual size. So this is how our page, this is what I mean by page size. So if you can recall, when I walk you through the Power BI interface, you saw that we have page size default was 16:9. We also have for other default, where we had the custom size, we have the tooltip, we have the later size. So when you want to view your reports, either you want to use whichever size you want to work with, for the custom size, this is what I mean by the page size. So for the page size, it defines your custom dimension, your width and your height. Do you want to increase if you are building a larger report? Do you want to increase the size of the height, or do you want to increase the size of the width? So that the report consumers would be able to interact with either your scroll bars to view the entire page. So it's whenever you're trying to design a report, always have the end users in your mind. Don't design reports based on it is suited with you. design it based on your end users in mind. So having said that, we also have visual size. For visual size, these are what I mean by visual size: the size of these, the size of your cells, the sizes of your card visuals. You should be consistent with your sizes. So when we get to build reports, you understand what I mean by report size in detailed. Your one size should not be larger than the other size. That's what I mean by report size. So so if you're trying to design a report and let's say you have 3 KPIs, for an example, you have 1, 2, and 3 KPIs. So if this one is smaller, this one is larger, your report consumers should quickly look at the larger size than the smallest size. So if you have a series of card visuals and you're trying to design your report, I endeavor and I say that you should be consistent with your reports. So having said that, I don't know if you have any question before we move on. So I'll talk about colors. Yes, of course, you have the slides by the end of the program. The organizers would have you get the slides to you. So some ebooks with you. I don't know if I have that on my library. So moving forward, we're just going to briefly talk about colors when designing your report. So you can see for this report, you can see that the colors here are consistent because I'm going to be asking you a few questions. I won't be the only one talking today. It's going to be an interactive session. So for colors, we are going to talk about colors. You can see how consistent this report designer is using colors. He used the purple and he used the blue color. So you can see how consistent the report designer did. So moving forward, let's get to talk briefly about colors in our reports. So I would say use colors sparingly and meaningfully. So you can see how these colors is used sparingly and meaningfully. So for total sales by product, we have the purple color. For customer sales by store, we have the blue color, and this one is a lighter color. So you can see that this report designer used colors sparingly and meaningfully, because overusing it can be distracting. And we are going to see how a distracting colors can look like. Still in color topic. So you can see this color is so distracting. You are trying to build your report, and I don't know if you are trying to be a graphics designer for a report user. So you can see how this color, if you were asked to pick between this dashboard and this, okay, also use this one. So if you were asked to pick between this dashboard, I'm looking at this comment section. If you were asked to create a report between this dashboard and this dashboard, let me know the one you would likely go for. I'll be looking at the chat box. Let me know the one you would likely go for. Of course, the first one. Okay, so this tells you that when designing a report, always have your end users in mind. Don't design reports based on, oh, because I love blue color, or because I love red color. Red color is my best color. Always design with the report consumers at the back end. So you can see that the colors for this example we have here, you can see that the colors that are applied on the left side of the page are different from the colors that are applied on the right side of the page. You can also see that these colors are so bright and can possibly distract the report consumer. I don't like working with yellow. You could see how yellow is so contradicting. I don't know if you are seeing what I'm saying. Yellow is so contradicting. So it does not provide sufficient construct with the data labels. You can see these data labels. I don't know if you can see if my If my image is fading, I'm so sorry, but you can see that yellow color here is so contradictory. You can see that, right? You don't need someone to tell you use this color, use this color. You play around with your report. You tell yourself, I want to build a good report today. You tell yourself, I want to be a good data analyst. I want to be a good business specialist, a good business intelligence specialist. You try to stand out. So it's not really use this color, use this color. No, you know what works for you. You know that if you use a yellow color, a yellow color is so contradictory. You see that on the left hand side, we are having a different color, and on the right hand side, we are having blue. So this color here is not good as a good report. It's not recommended as a data analyst. So in the following image, the reports here has improved. You can see that there are better use of beta colors compared to this other color that was contradicting. So you can see we have, this one is just like, I don't know whether I should say color palette or I don't know, but you can see that the reports for this other one is useful. They are using it with beta colors, and the colors are now consistent and provide subsistence and provide suitable contracts with the white data label. So you can see it has provided suitable contracts with the white data labels compared to this previous one where you're seeing yellow. I think yellow here is really standing out for me. Yellow, pink, purple, and so on. So this is a good report design. Moving forward, I'm going to talk about consistencies when designing reports. I'm going to talk about consistencies. So I'm going to ask a few questions before I talk about consistency. Okay, let me briefly talk about consistency, and then I'm going to ask a few questions. Why are we having some X and X in these reports? So when you are building a Power BI report, I'm going to encourage that you strive for consistencies when you are laying out and configuring report objects. So consistency should apply to your design. Your design, you should be consistent, including your margin, your spaces. You should just be consistent. I'm going to take questions. I don't like when I'm talking and I'm being interrupted. So please just give me a few minutes. When I'm done with consistency, I'm going to take questions. So you have to be consistent when designing your report. For consistency, I've talked about spaces, the way you align your card visuals. I've talked about margins. I've talked about size. I've talked about alignment. Do you want it at the center? This is what I mean by alignment. So let me go back to the first. Okay, this is what I mean by margins. These are margins. The dotted red lines are margin. So I'm just going to use this. Since this is clay, I feel you can see at your end, this is clay. So I'm just going to use this as a case study. So you can see that for this is, you see the sizes, the cells, you can see cells year over year revenue. So you can see that the sizes are consistent. We don't have maybe, fonts, we don't have 14, we don't have maybe this one is 12. So the sizes here are consistent because I'm making emphasis on this because you are going to be answering questions for me. So you can see that the font size here is consistent, even the font color. They're using purple in this report, and they are consistent with the font color. Same goes to the styling options. You can see that we have, for example, we have the Power BI report. That's for this bar chart. They are consistent with their reports. You have not seen that these data labels is outside there. The data labels is not outside. The data labels are inside your bars. So they are consistent with the report. I know you might be asking question, why are we having the contour so in a purple color compared to this bar chart that they're consistent with colors. This is also to let you know that whichever how you want your formatting to be done, how you want to format your visuals, could be your axis labels, your data types, rather your data labels. How you want it to be done could be better for you. This contour, so this could highlight that contour so is the customer sales by store. So this could be highlighted that most customers are visiting the contour so store. Just like we have Zenith Bank branch here in Akwa Ibom, we have in Lagos, we have in Ibadan. It could be that most customers are visiting Akwa Ibom for that branch. So it could be highlighted. So having said that, don't mix your fonts. Don't mix your fonts. Be consistent with your titles. At first glance, let me go to this and ask some few questions. So you are going to tell me, I don't know if you can see clearly, you are going to answer a few questions on the key metrics. Why are we having total sales counseled and why are we having unit sold counseled? I want to see if you are following me. I'm just going to be looking at the chat box. We are just going to do this in just few seconds. I was done teaching DAX yesterday. For DAX, we delved on calculated columns, which I showed you how to perform calculated columns. I showed you how to create measures, and I showed you how to create calculated tables. So that's what we delved in DAX. Yes, so I've seen someone answer the first question that the font size are not consistent. Okay, I think I'm taking it one after the other. I'm asking for the total sales and the units sold. And someone said that the font sizes are not consistent. So that's the correct answer. So same goes to this, I think previous year by sales and unit return and inventory. Same goes to this. You can see that the font size here is smaller, while the font size here is larger. So you can see this is not consistent. So I go to the next one where we have the bar chart. Why are we having X and why are we having X here? If you can tell me, that would be really helpful. Let me look at the chat box. Fonts, decimal places, that's not really what I'm looking for. Data labels, no, that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something. I'm looking for an answer. Look at these two. Whenever I'm working, just look at this. I didn't even look at the key metrics as well. Anyway, for that, for key metrics, that is just a different font. Look at total sales and look at units sold. There is what is not consistent with these. Between the total sales and the units sold, what is not consistent? That's what I'm asking you. Okay, yes, it's been bold. The unit sold was bold, which is not consistent with this. The unit sold was bold for the different products. And for the bars could be because we can't really see, we cannot see the figures of the bars. So I prefer that it should have been outside. The data labels should have been outside. Let's know the unit sold. So you can see that this report contains inconsistencies. This is what I mean, be consistent with your report. Not when total sales is bold and the other one is not bold. Be consistent with your report. So inconsistencies include mixed fonts for this report. It also includes different font sizes. This font is larger than this font. And it also includes inconsistent titles. You can see key metrics. So these are inconsistent titles. We also have, is it geographical sales information and so on. I think I can really see what is here and so on. So you have to be consistent with your report. You see that previous year sales is using the lower font. This inventory also is using a smaller font. Now we are coming to use unit return in a larger font. So when we talk of inconsistencies, we're basically referring to different font size, inconsistent titles, and mixed fonts. So having said that, I'm going to move on to the next one. So if you have a question, You can ask now before we move on to the next point. If you have a question, I'll be looking at the chat box. Okay, yes, I get it that you are following. I like it when the class is being interactive. So if you have any question, I think I would be attending to question now. If you have any question, yes, you can just go ahead and ask your question. Just ask your question. But please, the question should be relating to what we are doing and not what we did previously. Okay, I think I'm also going to be explaining KPIs in more detailed, but let me briefly explain KPIs using this visual. So these are KPIs. KPIs means key performance metrics. No, rather, KPIs means key performance indicator. That's what your KPI means. You can have sales, you can have profit. It's like a summarization of this is, let's say, this is total sales that Cotton Store has generated. This particular store has generated. So this is a KPI. And you go ahead to further visualize by, oh, let's see which particular product is generating this much sales. This is just a whole. This KPI is just showing you a whole. You can further go to analyze. I want to see by region. I want to see by product, and I also want to see by customer sales. So that's what I mean by KPIs is key performance indicators. That's your KPIs, your profits, your quantity, and so on. This report is not blurry at my end. Okay, I said that you should ask questions relating to the class. You have been trying to access Power BI. Downloading Power BI is not a difficult thing to do. I earlier said just go to your Microsoft Store. On your Microsoft Store, on your computer, search for Power BI Desktop. You can download it on your Microsoft Store, or you can download it in the web version. You can go to web and search for Power BI download. It will come up, a lot of options to come up, and you will see the right options to download Power BI. So it's not a difficult thing to do. It's not something that we would be talking over and over about since from day one. So do you have any other questions? I'm saying ask questions pertaining to the class. So if you don't have any other questions, figures in the past, you can just move forward. Yes, please, if you are able to help him out, you can help him out with installing Power BI on whatever. You can just hop on a call to help him out if you have been able to install yours successfully. I've explained KPI, so if that's all the questions, we're just going to. Oh yeah, I think I made mention of this, that if you're using a different operating system, you're going to be asked to, I think I'm going to share it on, I saw that stuff on LinkedIn. You'll be using a virtual machine. You'll be using a virtual machine for a bookmark. So I'll search for that link I'll search for it and I'll drop it for you. It's on LinkedIn, how to install Power BI on a MacBook. Power BI is a Microsoft product. So I think that answer you need a virtual machine or thereabout. So what is a specific specification for Power BI? I'm not an engineer. Let me start out with that. So anyway, I would say whichever PC you are using, provided if you have Core i5 or you are using the latest generation, if you are using 8 gig RAM, 8 gig RAM is good to go. And for i5 8 gig RAM, if you use a laptop with SSD, that should still go. So please, you can also ask your colleagues, those that have successfully installed Power BI, and they will help you with some questions. So moving forward, we are going to talk about different types of charts in Power BI. Oh, you have downloaded yours. That's very good. Yes, Power BI is not something you should be crying over right from day one. So we are going to move forward. We have a lot to talk about for today. You have seen we have talked about how to use consistencies, how to talk about sizes in Power BI when you're working with building reports for the end users. Please, when you are building reports, don't build reports for yourself, build reports with the end users in mind. Moving forward, we are going to talk about the different charts that we have in the different default charts that we have in Power BI. We have the categorical visuals. When we talk of the categorical visuals are visuals that we can use bar chart or we can use column chart. So this is an example of a categorical visuals. So let's say you were trying to analyze. Okay, before I moved on, I like it when classes are interactive. So I'm going to ask few questions. Why is this marked as X and why is this marked as correct? The one highlighted in green is correct and the one in X is marked as wrong. So just in 2 seconds, just answer the question. The table sizes are not consistent. All right, so I think I'm seeing some very, very good answers. It's impressive because I know that you are following me. So for when we talk of categorical, you should know we are referring to, let's say for text, like we are trying to visualize by products. When you are trying to visualize by product, it's not correct to use a line chart to visualize by product. Line charts are used to show trends over time. That is what a line chart is used to do. So you can see that it's trying to show us sales for PowerPoint and so on. So this is not an accurate chart when you are trying to view your report. This is more accurate. For categorical, use a bar chart. So a bar or a column chart are good charts when you need to show data across multiple categories. So we also have a bar chart and we also have a line chart. So you can notice that for this chart where I have my cursor, this line chart implies a relationship between the product category that's on the x-axis. This is the x-axis. Between this product category on the x-axis. So this is a wrong chart to use when you're trying to visualize by product category. So the line chart is mostly used for sales over time. You visualize with line chart when you're trying to use sales over time. You also use line charts for time intelligence functions. So this is a correct chart for categorical charts. So moving forward, we are briefly going to talk about time series analysis. So for time series analysis, a time series analysis is used to show sales over time. You want to show sales over time, a time series analysis chart is the perfect chart for you. So for time series analysis, you can use a line chart or you can use the area chart. We'll also get to see line and area chart. So this is an example of a line chart. If we have an area chart will just show a magnitude. It will try to fill up these empty gaps at the bottom. It will just show some magnitudes. So a line chart and area chart are useful in showing trends over time. So the only difference between a line chart and an area chart is because an area chart is going to show you, let's say an area chart would show you magnitude. We'll see that practically if time permits. There are other charts, there are other Power BI core visuals that you can use for time series analysis. This includes stack column charts. This is an example of a stack column chart. We can also use, I've talked about area chart, I've talked about line chart, and for ribbon chart, which has added benefits of showing ranks changes over time. So whenever a line chart comes into your mind, whenever time series analysis come into your mind, line charts are used to show trends over time. But when we talk of time series analysis, you can use other charts, for example, stack column, area chart, and so on for time series analysis. I know you have a few questions to ask me. Now, why is the line chart tick as wrong and this is tick as correct? So for this line chart, I'm going to explain the first one. For this line chart that we have here, line chart works well with consistent flow of data, such as when sales are recorded for every period. You can see we have March 14, March 28, April 11, April 25. So this line chart here, line chart works well with consistent flow of data. So you can see that for April 11, we don't really have any information for April 11. You see that as well. But this line chart is trying to connect these two values together. So if no sales record, if there's no sale recorded for that period, the line chart visual will fill such gap. So you can see it's trying to fill this gap. Whereas when we were using the column chart is not filling the gaps. It's not filling the gaps. So that is why this visual is wrong, and this is why this visual is correct. So this could be possible, for an example, in the case of missing values. So in cases of missing values, a column chart might be a better visual choice because it will help you avoid the interpretation of a non-existent trend. So this one is trying to interpret a trend that is not existent. So let's say the record for this chart, for this time series analysis, we had record, there is no record for April 11. So if there's no record for April 11, and this line chart is trying to fill that gap, you can see this sharp line, you can see this sharp peak is trying to, you can see from here, you can see this sharp peak, from this sharp peak to this place. So it's trying to fill that angle, it's trying to fill that gap rather, it's trying to fill that gap. So in cases of missing values, a column chart might be the right chart for this. So I'm just moving forward. I'm going to move forward. But before we move on to knowledge check, I could also say the second one is more readable. Okay, but I'm saying in cases of, mostly a line chart is used to show sales over time. That is what a line chart is used for. But in cases that some of your cells are missing, you cannot jump from, let's say you cannot jump from May to August. So there is a gap between May and August. So you have skipped July, August. You have skipped June, July. So in cases of those missing data records, this is where a column chart comes in handy. This is where you get to use a column chart for data representation. So we are going to move on to a knowledge check. I'm going to read this out. At the Contosort Skateboard Company, Brandon is designing a dashboard report to show inventory stock levels over time. What type of report visuals should Brandon choose to effectively show the stock level? I have A, bar chart, B, pie chart, C, line chart, and D, scatter charts. So I'll be looking at the chat box. Okay, line charts. Is that your final answer? Because I just showed you an example of D. So is that your final answer? You're right in the hot seat. So is that your final answer? I just showed you an example of that you can also use a stack column chart to show. This is a stack column chart. When we talk of bar chart, this is a bar chart. Vertical, no, horizontal representation. Yes, your bar charts are horizontal representation, while your column charts are vertical representation. So is that your final answer? Is that your final answer? I want to see if that's your final answer. Really, everybody is telling me, okay, someone is choosing A. Someone that is Kelvin. Kelvin, is that your final answer? Maybe you'll be going home with 100 million. Is that your final answer? Okay. So a lot of people are sticking to A and a lot of people are still sticking to line chart. So please, if you are sticking to line chart, you have the correct answer. The correct answer is line chart. So you see, I'm just trying to, bring in some terminologies to confuse you. Now listen to this question. The question says Brandon is designing a dashboard report to show inventory stock levels over time. And what did I say a line chart is used for? A line chart is used to show trends over time. You want to see how that company is performing. But in cases of missing data, in cases of possibility of gaps, this is where your stack column chart comes in handy. Okay, so I hope I've answered your question. The correct answer is C, is a line chart. You use line charts to show trends over time. So moving forward, we'll just be in a few minutes done. So moving forward, we're going to talk briefly about proportional visuals. So when we talk of proportional visuals shows data as part of a whole. So columns and bar chart visuals works well for visualizing proportions across multiple dimensions. So for proportional charts, for a proportional chart, they show you how value is distributed across a region. So for this region, you can see this is my 100% column chart. I said column is vertical. When we talk of horizontal is, when we talk of bar chart is horizontal. So for this example, you can see my 100% column charts, my 100% stack column chart. We have stack column charts, we have bar charts. So when we talk of 100%, 100% is like a whole. It's showing you like a whole and it shows you in percentages. So if you see that, these visuals, you can look at this visual, it's not even showing you, oh, this is for Power BI. This legend is showing you for contour saw, is showing you for farmer, is showing you for natural, and it's showing you for Abbas. So this is just giving you a percentage of that whole. So other visuals for Power BI proportional includes 100% stack bar chart. I should have included stack bar chart. This is a stack column chart. So we have the funnel chart, we have the tree map, we have the pie chart, and we have the donut chart. We'll also get to see them practically if time permits. I'm working with time. So we are going to talk briefly about numeric charts. For numeric charts, I love making use of card visuals. So this is a card visuals. A card visuals display a single value. So you can see for this card visuals, it's displaying only the total sales. Only the total sales. You could display total sales, total quantity. It displays only a single value, a single data point. So you can, if for example, okay, let's say for this, yes, this is example of a card visuals. It's displaying only total sales. I don't know if you can see clearly. So let me use this. So it's displaying only total sales. Only is giving us a summarization of the sales. So you can see that for bar charts is going to show you by different category which state is generating the most revenue. But when we talk of numeric visuals, like we have here, it shows you a value of a whole. So card visuals is one example of a numeric visuals. It is ideal for statistics you want to track. You want to track for, let's say, for total sales, for profit margin, and so on. So it is just showing you a single visuals. So having said that, and the next point we want to move to, and for your card visuals is quick and easy to read. So you can read that this is $669. You can easily read this. So we are going to talk about Greek visuals. For Greek visuals, this is where I talk about your tables and your matrix visuals. For your table and your matrix visuals, your table visuals shows you information. It shows you information in detailed. It could include information. Let's say you want to see for region, and that region you also get to expand. So for this my visual, this is Los Angeles, USA. You can expand. We have Power BI, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams. So you can, in matrix visual, you can either collapse or you can expand. So tables and matrices can effectively convey a detailed information that contains data in a fixed number of columns, and each columns can express grouped or summarized data. So this is summarized. You can see this is summarized. Los Angeles is summarized. But you can expand to see, oh, Teams 30 points, Power BI 0, and so on. You can expand for more details. So we have metrics and we also have a table visuals. So I'm just going to go ahead to tell you what the two of them stands for. So a matrix visual is similar to a table visual, but they just have slight variation. A table visuals contains only rows. A table visuals is displayed in rows only, while a matrix visuals can have groups on columns and rows. You can also get to add conditional formatting to them. For an example, this is conditional formatting. This is font color. This green highlighted here is font color. These stars are icons. You can see icons. You can enhance your visuals with visuals indicator. So you can see this is also icons. And okay, I don't have background color here, but I have font color. This is font color. I have icons and also I don't have background color. I'll also get to show you background color. So for matrices can give you in columns, can have groups on columns and rows. But when we talk of a table just shows you in rows. So we'll also get to see them practically. So I'm just going to have a brief knowledge check. Intermittently, we get to have knowledge check. I know this will be tedious. I hope you'll be able to answer it. At the Costosaurus skateboard company, Sakura is designing an analytical report. It must include a visual that allows report consumers to explore and discover detailed sales values over time by store. What type of report visual should Sakura choose to support the report's consumer requirements, metrics table, tree map, and scatter charts? So I'm just looking at the chat box. I want to see your answers for that. I'm looking at the answers. So before I go ahead to keep you on hot seats, I'm going to go over that again. The difference between, I'm just going to make emphasis to this. The difference between a matrix and a column and a table visual. A matrix visuals can have groups. This is an example of a matrix visual. A matrix visuals can have groups, that's for columns and rows. But a table visuals only have groups for rows. Only have group for rows. That does not mean that you not have headers like this. It will have, but there's just a slight variation between a matrix and a table visual. So let's answer that question. Sakura is designing an analytical report. It must include a visual that allows report consumers to explore and discover detailed cells over time. And if I had put line chart, you would have easily picked a line chart over cells. So discover detailed cells values over time and by stores. What type of report visual should Sakura choose to support the report consumer requirement? This is a hot seat. I'm seeing tables. I'm seeing, so people with is table visual, is that your final answer? People that are taking table visual, is that your final answer? So table is your final answer. So people that are also, I'm really seeing two comments for matrix and table. Yeah, this is where it's just between these two, matrix and table. Which one is the correct answer? So let's see. Let me see if that's your final answer. Oh my God. I hope you're not having change of mind, no. You pick table, you pick matrix. Okay, matrix is your final answer. Table is your final answer. All right, so okay. Anyway, you will not always get it right at the initial stages. Consistent working with Power BI visuals, you will always know the right visuals to use. So the correct answer is, I'm looking at the chat box. Okay, yeah, whoever said metrics, the correct answer is a metrics visual. You are correct. And I love what this person gave me because it involved rows and column visuals. That's what I was looking for. So what's your name? I can't pronounce the first one, but Linda, you are correct. And everyone that chose A, everybody that chose metrics, you are correct. But 100% goes to Linda that says because it involves columns and rows. So this is very interesting. I'm testing your knowledge. So the matrix visuals is the correct answer. The matrix visuals allows that reports consumer to drill down on the columns and rows to reveal detailed visuals. So you can see it will allow that report consumer, it will allow that report consumer to drill down. So you can expand, you can collapse. You also get to see. So I'm trying to hurry up so we can see practically. So I've talked about knowledge check. Okay, let's see. Let's talk about how to format and configure your reports. So how to format and configure your report is the next text, the next topic we're going to, and we'll be done with the theoretical aspects in few minutes. So how to configure your report? To configure your report, we have Power BI gives a variety of options for customizing how your selected visual. This is selected, if you can see clearly, how your selected visualization looks, such as your colors, your format of the text, and so on. So you can choose, you can see example of it there. I can choose to turn this on. I can choose to turn on my data labels are turned on. This is my data labels. This is turned on, and my titles are turned on. So this is sales by category. And another emphasis I want to make sure, I want to talk about clusters in your data. This is a cluster in our data. Sales amount is a cluster. We already know that this is a sales amount. This is sales amount. So turning on the title on this x-axis is already clusters in our data. It is already a cluster in our data. So this is not acceptable. So whenever you are trying to create visuals, try to make your visuals readable. Try to make the reports consumer just have the reports consumer at your back end when you're trying to create your report. So I'm going to briefly talk about the title. I'm briefly going to talk about the and so on. So for the title, you can turn on your title. This is sales by category. For an example, this is the title, and this is a who can tell me what chart is this? I want to know what chart is this. Let me see if you're getting me. I want to know what chart is this. Is it a cluster column chart? Is it a cluster bar chart? Is it 100% stack bar chart? Is it 100% cluster bar chart? Just in 2 seconds. I'll be looking at it. Okay, I know you're going to say that this is not a bar chart. I said bar. When we talk of bar, when anyway, they're trying to confuse yourself between vertical and horizontal. If you're a Christian, just picture the image of Jesus Christ on the cross. From his head to his toe is the vertical, and his two hands, while his two hands are the horizontal axis. So this is a vertical chart. So for a vertical is a column chart. So yes, you're correct. Clustered column chart. You're correct. Linda is getting it. So you come and be teaching me. Anyway, moving forward with that, we are going to briefly talk about how to customize your chart. But I'm going to do a lot of it practically. I was thinking I won't do practical session today, but I'm going to do a practical session today. So you can turn on your own off, you can turn off your title, you can turn off your title. I wouldn't really dwell much on this. You can look for the colors, you can look for the fonts, and so on. You can do that by, you can customize your background in Power BI. You can just customize your background. You can also customize your borders. Maybe you need a, let's say for an example, you want to turn on, let's say for an example, you want to turn on the border. So you can see background, you can turn it on. Your data labels, this is what I mean. Okay, yeah, you can see this is what I was looking for as well. So this is already clusters in our data. United States, Germany, and France. This is clusters. We already know that United States is a country. We already know that Germany is a country. So why are you trying to turn on this? So we are going to talk about it practically. You can turn on the tooltips, you can turn on the titles, you can turn on the background color, and so on. So we are going to be looking at it practically. So in a few minutes, I'm just going to be rounding up my slides. So let's look at, do I have a question? Need more explanation for? Yes, I'll be coming to that, please. We'll be going over to the practical session. Pardon me, let me just round it up. Let me just round this up. So we are going to talk about key performance metrics. And for key performance metrics, I like calling it metrics. I don't know why I love calling it metrics. So for KPIs refers to key performance indicators. That's what KPIs refers to, key performance indicators. And key performance indicators are excellent in helping you track progress toward a specific goal. So this is an example of key performance. This is an example of KPIs. So this is your KPIs. This is your KPIs. That's your key performance metrics. So it is helping for maybe you want to see, oh, what is my goal? Am I hitting the target goal? Am I hitting maybe goals for this month? Am I hitting goals for, let's say, this month in a particular company? Are you doing better with goals? So this is where you get to work with key performance indicators. So for key performance indicators, to use key performance indicators, you need 3 pieces of information. I said that it helps you track progress toward a specific goal, because I'll also be coming into the question and a lot of people won't get it correct. So moving forward, for you to be able to use key performance indicator, you need 3 information. A unit of measurement that you want to track. For instance, is it total sales? Is it number of employees hired? Is it number of loans, service, or number of students enrolled? So when you want to when you want to work with key KPI, you need 3 pieces of information. I will go over that again. The first piece of information, do you need a unit of measurement that you want to track? That unit of measurement, for an example, is it total sales? Or, for example, the number of students that have enrolled for this program. So that is tracked because it will be your goal, a goal for that measurement so that you can compare your progress with your goal. You can compare your progress. This is your goal. You can compare the progress with your goal. Am I making progress? And you can also use a time series. So this is by months. You can see a time series, for instance, daily, monthly, or yearly. So you can use a time series analysis to track your goals. So for KPIs, you always have 3 options. This is an example of a KPI. You see total sales, you see months, and you see targets. Your target is going to be your goal. So having said that, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Still on the Cortisol Skateboard Company, James is designing a dashboard report. It most prominently shows values of sales revenue, units sold, cost of goods sold, and profits. That's why I have them highlighted bold. And each value should be compared to a target value. What type of report visual should James choose to support the report's consumer requirements? So I'm going to, that's the question, that's your question, that's the question. So I'm just answer the questions, and in a few minutes, we'll just be having a brief practical session. So I'm just going to be looking at the chat box. I'm seeing someone taking B. Okay, what was B? Is that your final answer? Because I said sales revenue. Listen, sales revenue, units sold, cost of goods sold. So why are you? I just want to see if that's your final answer. So is that your final answer? Well, Linda, you come and teach me. I'm just seeing a lot of interesting comments. A target value. I think you are really getting it. I'm impressive. You really added something that, where is that comment? KPI, since a sales target is involved. That's very, very intelligent. That's very impressive. So this is really an interesting session, and I hope you enjoyed my session today. Just let me know. Just if you have any questions, I'm just going to be taking questions just for 5 minutes. So we move to the practical session briefly. So do you have any questions? Do you have any question? I'm going to be taking questions briefly. Okay, can I tell you the name of the icons? I can't really go over that now because I have time I'm working with time. So pardon me. I'm going to be switching back for my screen, and just give me a few minutes. So please just kindly confirm that you can see my screen. I have my Power Query Editor window open. Please just confirm you can see my Power Query Editor window. Please just have that. I just need a confirmation. All right, thank you very much. So I'm just going to already, how to import data into Power BI. So I'm just going to have these boxes tick. I'm going to transform my data. I'm just going to go over this just one more time. We have been working on this right from day 2. So I'm just going to rename my check for my column headers, check for accurate data types. I go to the location table. I go to the orders table, that's accurate. I go to the product table. I'm just going to make use of data types. I go to the sales rep table, and I'm going to use the drop down to make use of data types. So Having done that, I'm just going to, when you are confident that your data is clean, I'm just going to close and apply. I hope you can see my screen. So I hope you can see my screen. Please just confirm that you can see my screen because I'm going to be sharing a different screen. Just confirm you can see my screen. Okay, yes, you can see my screen. I was just, we had already gone through this. So we went through this, we did this yesterday. Please just give me a minute, let me stay hydrated. So thank you for the patience. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen once again. So briefly, we have talked about how to build reports in Power BI. I'm just going to show you just in few minutes, just a few of them. So I'm going to first of all start with two charts. This is a stack bar chart. I'm going to collapse this, and this is the custom. Okay, let me go over that again. Because I have this chart selected, let me put this in focus so I can expand instead of focus mode. So I can reduce the size. I'm looking for something. Okay, let me not put it in focus mode. Let me just expand. So you can see, I'm just going to drag this here at the center. You can see that I have this chart selected. So you can see these lines at the edge, middle, and at the edge. So you can see this line. This simply means that if I should have another visual selected, this will change. This is what it means. This would change. So that is what it means. It means that if I should have this visual selected, so if I should select any of another visual, so you asked me for a question about what is the name of each of the charts. Please, I earlier said that I really don't encourage spoon feeding. So you can always over around your charts, and you'll see each of the names of them. So I have these charts currently selected. If you select outside your canvas, you will not see that, you wouldn't see that square bracket. So if I have this chart selected, you are going to see the square bracket. So if I should select any of these charts here, it has changed. So whenever you want to pick a new chart, always make sure you select outside your canvas. And I'm going to go ahead to select a different chart. And we're going to have just two charts here. So you can see two charts. So for these two charts, I'm just going to select for cells. I'm just going to use cells. Just going to search for cells for my x-axis, and I'm also going to search for region of my, I hope there's a relationship. It should have, okay, yes, it automatically detected relationship. So let me just reduce this. Let me just take it out. So I want to ask just a few questions. Control C, Control V. Just want to ask a few questions. We'll be coming to visualization when we are working with project. So I'm going to change this to this. I'm going to change it like this. So you can see that we have sum of cells by region. This is our title, and this is our fields. The y-axis, I said that this is your y-axis is horizontal, and your x-axis is the vertical. And I said, picture the image of Jesus Christ on the cross. From his head to his toe is horizontal, and his two hands are, no, rather, from his head to his toe is vertical. That's straight, vertical, and his two hands are horizontal. So for a this is a what is it called? A cluster bar, a stack bar chart. For this stack bar chart, this is a bar chart and this is a column chart. So for this chart, I want you to tell me which one is visually appealing. Which one would you go for? Would you go for the bar chart? Maybe you're trying to represent your data categories, or would you go for the stack column? Anyone, is it the bars or the column? So just 2 seconds. This is bar charts. This is column charts. So I'm asking which one would be visually. Anyway, whichever one you choose to go for is correct. So let's go ahead to edit this. So for you to edit your bar chart, I'm going to go to, this is format your visuals. On your format your visuals, this is already regions. We have different regions here. So this is already a cluster in our data. This region here is a cluster. So I'm just going to go ahead, use this drop down. On this drop down, you can choose to increase the size. Let's say it's 13. I can see this would go down a little bit. Let me put this in focus mode. Let me just leave it like that. Let's leave it like that. There's something I want to do. And this is already a cluster in our data. We already know this is region. So how do you turn off that region? This is where you go to title, you expand your title field, and you don't even need to expand your title fields. You can just turn it off. You see, you hover around, turn it on, you toggle off, toggle on. So that is it. I'm just going to toggle it off. The same can apply to the sales region. And on the sales region, I'm just going to collapse the y-axis, expand the x-axis. For the x-axis, this is for, you see, I can collapse, I can turn that off. For the values, you can just increase the values to say, let's say 13, and you would see the values. And then how do you turn on the data labels? I'm just going to collapse this. I go to my, sorry, I'm being a little bit fast. I'm going to go to my data labels. I turn on my data labels. So these are your data labels. And you can choose how you want the position of these data labels by expanding. I'll use the drop down. I'm going to say, do you want the position in inside? Do you want it inside? Do you want it in outside? Do you want it, that's anyhow, just play around with it. Go to your card visuals. So I've showed you how to eliminate clusters. This is clusters in our data. We already know this is sum of cells, and we already know this is region. So for this is visually better than this. So switching back here, you can choose to change your bars. You can choose to change the color of your bars. By default, you always have a blue color. By default, whenever you're selecting your bars, it will be a blue color. And you can see this FX. This FX is for formatting. This is where you get to use your formatting option. I think I did not have that there. So you can give it rules. You can give it rules. You can even use, we have 3 types. We have gradient. We also have field values. We'll also be coming to that maybe when we're doing visualizations. So I'm just going to focus for gradient. For gradient, I'm going to say lower values should be, let's say lower values. When the values are lower, and let's change these to, okay, let's just leave it at that. You can use custom if you want to enter any value. Custom is for it to enter a value, but I'm just going to use the drop down for lowest value. So I'm going to, what field should we base this on? You see that this option was not enabled. Base it on total sales. Total sales. Oh, rather sales is sales. So based it on this, I'm just going to click OK. So you can see that the regions with smaller values, you can see this is where you apply, where is it called? Your conditional formatting. So the FX is for conditional formatting, and you can remove this conditional formatting by using this. So it's showing you the range of your data from 0.39 million. It's just showing you a range. So I can just go ahead to clean that. But before we go ahead to remove that, let's say for an example, I have this selected. Instead of me going through the stress of, oh, I use this is more bold and so on. So this is where we use clipboard. So for clipboards, I'm going to have, okay, what I mean is I didn't mean I changed the color. Anyway, I changed the font sizes of this. So instead of me going ahead to increase these font values again, coming to general, coming to my visuals, I collapse. I can go to X axis. Instead of manually going to X axis to increase fonts and thereabouts, I can just have this one selected. I have my format painter selected, and you see this little brush icon, and I can just place it here. And you, oh, that, okay, yes, you can see that it's what has been applied here has been applied here. So I hope you understand what I mean. So I have in less than 20 minutes to go. So moving forward, I'm going to start off with another interesting thing I want to show you. You can use this right. You can right click, you can duplicate, you can rename from page 1 and so on. Just play around with it. So I'm just going to select page 2. I'm showing you different types of visuals. So I'm going to have my table visual selected. I'm going to have my matrix visual, 2 of them selected. So for these matrix visuals, I'm just going to select go. Okay, I can just, let me copy this. No, anyway, let's leave it at that. So let's just look for something else. Let me see, trying to save time. So let's copy. So having copied this is what? This is my table visual. So I'm going to take that out. So let's copy this. I have my visual here selected. So I want to change my visuals from a bar chart to a column chart. And how do I go about that? I'm going to have this. I have this visual selected. If I should select outside the Canva, I can't change it. But because I have this visual tool selected, if I say, let me select on my table chart, you can see this has been changed. My table has been changed. So for the table, you see table is only available to columns. I can as well say, okay, let me see for, let's say for customers, let's try to add customers' names. You see, it's just giving you in columns. This is the only option. This is the only field for this. Okay, I think you can, anyway, you can arrange it. Let me take column names on top. Let me take region below. So I think this is better. Rather, I think this is better. So I can just, I can just, copy this. Let me just take this up. Let me, instead of selecting this, let me take this out. I'm just going to copy and change it. I'm saving time. Control C on my keyboard and Control V. Step. So I'm going to change it from a table visual to a matrix visuals. So you can see that this is how a matrix visuals look like. This is how a matrix visuals looks like. So a matrix visual has fields for rows, fields for columns, and fields for metrics. So let's say I don't want my regions to be on my column headers. I want to place it on the rows. I can just simply drag and drop. So you can see it enables you option to expand. This is what I wanted to show you. It enables option to expand. But for your table visual, I can just interchange. Let me interchange these. Okay, so that let it be West region and so on. So I can expand for customers coming from the Western region. So your metrics visual gives you options to expand, but your table visuals, you just have to be, placing, and so on. So for these icons, we'll also be coming to these icons. You can drill down for a specific data value. We'll be coming to that more detailed when you are trying to build reports. So the next visual we are going to see, I'm just going to take this here. I'm just going to duplicate, Control C, Control V on my keyboard. The next visual we are going to see is going to be, I want to see a visual for, we want to see visual for, let me have my donut chart, my pie chart selected. So this is my pie chart. I want to make emphasis on this. So you can see that this pie chart, whenever you are trying to select your visuals, you know the visuals you want to work with. There are just so many data categories in this data. You cannot even tell which one is this. So this is a bad visualization. So we are talking on our topic right now is bad visuals and good visuals. So this is what I'm working on. Bad visuals or good visuals. How to have a good visuals and how to have a bad visual. So this is what I'm working on. So you can see that this is so distracting. I mean, this is so distracting. There are a lot of, should I say, many entries in this data. So whenever you're trying to use a bar chart, you can only, I'll always say you can just use it, you see, just 4 categories. So you can just use it with just 4 categories. So I'm just going to duplicate Control V, just going to paste. So you can also see for a donut chart. Let me reduce this a bit. So for I have this chart selected, I want to select the donut chart. So the donut chart is just a slight variation from the pie chart. You see it has a hole inside. It is a hole inside of the donut chart. But this one, there is no hole inside a donut chart. So whenever for good visualization, use effective visuals. Remember when we tried to place so many valid entry, like you see, this is, you see, a lot of valid entry, a lot of valid entry. So this is not right. So this is so distracting. This is poor color choices. So distracting. So it's whenever you're trying to use a donut chart or a pie chart, I advise that you try to limit it to either 3, from let's just say maximum, you try to limit it to 4. Because if, for example, let me just turn all these fields, let me turn on the data labels. Let me go to format your visuals, detailed labels. Okay, yes. So can you really tell which, okay, now look at this. Don't look at this. This is like an expo to you. Just look at this. Can you really tell between this purple and this blue? Can you really just give which one is higher? Just tell me. In fact, let me take this downward so that you will see. Let me expand this for more purpose. You have to tell me, can you really tell between the purple and the blue, which, let me not hover around, which one is larger, which one is more larger? So you have to study, as a good business specialist, you have to know when to use visuals. I'm just going to be looking at the chat box. So I'm sure it doesn't expo when I hover around, right? So which one is more larger? Is it the purple or the blue? Someone is telling purple. So you could see that this is wrong. The blue one is higher than, is more, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is this. If, for example, there was no context, let's use it that way. If peradventure we did not have, there was no data labels, this is not right. If we can't really tell which one is, we can't tell. If peradventure there was no data labels, this is what I mean by data labels, where you get to see the percentage contribution of each of them. Yeah, someone got it right. Purple, someone got it right. Some people were saying blue. Yes, you see blue. So you can see this is making your visualization very difficult to read. So like I said, it's always advisable when you're trying to use either a donut chart or a paper chart. So this could be better visualized using either a cluster bar chart. Let me change that to go back to report. Let me expand, not legend. So let me place this on the y-axis. So this is better. Okay, yes, you can see this is better. So Control C, I can paste it here. Control V, I can change it to, let's say, donut chart. So which would you prefer if you are trying to build your report? Which would you prefer? Is it this, the bar chart? Is it the bar chart? Or is it the donut chart? So as a report builder, you are the report builder. Know the right chart to use to build your report. So which of them would you prefer? Is it the donut chart or this chart? So which of them would you prefer? Yeah, exactly. The donut chart. You can always go ahead to, I said I don't like being spoon feed. I don't let me repeat myself. You can always go ahead to look at the funnel chart. So the next chart I want you to quickly look at, I want you to look at the tree map chart. So for the tree map chart, this is a nested triangle. So let me see if I can place it all out. Location. Let's see location or state. Let me look at states. You just play around with it. I can't go over that. I'm working based on time. So let's say cells for tree map. So you can see that these charts, yes, these are other questions I should have asked. Is this a suitable chart to use? When we talk of a tree map is informed. When you just see of the word nested triangle, a tree map is this. This is what we mean by a tree map. So is this right? If you want to visualize this by sum of cells by state, is this a right chart to use? So these are the questions you go ahead to ask yourself, oh, which are the right charts for me to use? I wanted to show you something in, I'm just remembering something now. I wanted to show you something in this chart where we can use formatting. So let's right click to region, sorry. So this is also for, so let me go to the formatting option. Let's say general, format your visuals. I have this selected. For values, also what I'm looking for. Okay, formatting option. Just give me a minute. Let me go back here. How to play around with you. Let me have this. Take this here. Let me have this selected. Formatting option is available for both of them. Let me search for formatting. Yes, background. That should be effects. So I'm going to say background color. So we had different types of formatting. So if I want to change the background color to, if I want to format based on color effect, I don't want to format it based on rules. I want to format it based on gradient. Okay, yes, I showed for this already. This is not what I'm looking for. This is really not what I'm looking for. Anyway, we'll be coming to this. I don't want to spend much time. There's something I'm looking for. It should be data labels. Anyway, we'll be coming to that, but there's one thing I wanted to show you about formatting. So having said that, you have seen for category for tree map, and maybe tomorrow, I can't search for it right now. We'll work on it. So we have seen for tree map, this is how a tree maps look like, just in form of a nested triangle. And another visual I want to show you is going to be AI visuals. I'm going to have my key influencer metric selected. So for key influencer, I'm just going to say sales. I want to see by city, we'll say sales, and I want to explain by, let's say, no, region or states. Let's explain by states. So I want to explain by states. Let me have this expanded. So it is running the analysis. Okay, let's explain by, or should we, let's explain by, let's say, segments. Okay, just give me a moment. I've explained this by occupation. I don't have occupation. Okay, let's see products. Let's explain it by, let's say, category. Products category. So this is AI visuals. So when we talk of AI visuals, you can see decrease. It will just be running your analysis automatically for you. So let me take this out. I can say expand by region. Let me look for region. Okay. So you can see that this is telling you this is the decrease. Office supplies is giving us decrease. You just use the drop down for increase. And you can as well, we have to segment here. Top segment, you just play around with this and so on. So these are KPIs. Rather, these are AI visuals. So another AI visuals is, we have another AI visuals is smart narratives. Smart narratives is another AI visuals. Analysis, this has to do with, so this is where you can use custom. Maybe you are trying to summarize. It is basically just used to give you summary of, let's say it's trying to like more like, it's telling us what you are doing. Any points I'm selecting, I don't know why that's not working. So for an example, if I had built my report, let me explain what smart narrative does. If I had built my report and I had maybe this region selected, smart narrative is going to be giving us in written, like in text kind of words. This is what is happening in this region. This is what is happening in this region. So maybe tomorrow, when we're trying to work on a project, we'll also see smart narrative. So in few minutes, I want to show you the difference between a line chart and a, let me take that out. That's sum of cells. So let's see, while I'm going to have my line chart selected, I'm going to select, let's say total cells. Oh, we didn't even build our table for time intelligence functions. So let's say total cells. I want to see total cells by month. Let's see, let me search for months. Let's see total cells by month. So this is line chart. This is what your line chart does. So we are going to select, you already know how to eliminate these clusters, so I won't be working with that. So I'm just going to have this, I'm going to reduce this, have this selected, Control C, Control V. So you also get to see for area chart as well. So area chart, like I said, shows magnitude. This is just a slight variation of these that used to show trends over time. Just give me a few minutes. I'm going to expand this. Let me collapse this for now. I'll collapse this. So you can see that this is used to show sales trend over time. So you can see that there was a sharp increase in sale. If I hover around, that's my tooltip. There was a sharp increase in sale in the month of September. There was a high increase in sales in the month of September. And there was a also high increase in sales in the month of March. And there was a sharp decrease in February. So let's say this is just showing you magnitude of the sales. So this is your area chart and this is your line chart. So I'm just going to reduce this a little and let's see for Control C, Control V. I'm going to press this here and I'm going to change this visual to, let's look at a bar chart. So looking at this bar chart, do you really love what you are seeing for this bar chart? So just few questions. Do you like between this line chart and the bar chart, which one would you go for when you are working, building your visuals? Which is more visually appealing? So I'll just be looking at the chat box for questions. Okay, yes, the line chart is. Oh, you is telling me, Linda, you're not correct. Oh, you're for my hands. Oh, you're for my hands. That's no, no, no. Your line chart is used to show trends over time. Is used to show trends over time. So someone can know, oh, someone can easily know there was lower sales. There was just a decrease in sales in the month of October, and there was high, sharp increase in sales in the month of November. So having said that, I don't know if there's any particular one I've not showed you. We showed card visuals when we work in first class. And for scattered plots, scattered chart is used to show for, let's say, scatter chart is for clusters. It's used for outliers. I don't know if you did mathematics in secondary school or if you came from the knowledge of analytical chemistry background, you should be familiar with outliers. So let's say for an example, let me just give you an example. Please just give me a few minutes. I'm coming to something. I don't like interruption when I'm talking. So if you're in a second, let's use nursery school for an example. Nursery school, you're expected that someone in nursery school should be around the age of, let's say, from 2 years to peradventure should just be 12 years. Nursery school from 2 years, maximum of it should just be 12 years. Of course, you're expected to end at 10 years. So just pay attention to this question. So if you see someone 20 years in nursery school, 30 years in nursery school, that person is what? Can you help me? Can you help me answer that question? That person is an outlier. That's what I mean by outlier because I don't really do definition. I use real world experience to explain these data terms. So in nursery school, you're expected to see the age between, let's say, 2 to at least, at most should be 12 years, at most. You're expected to finish nursery school at most 10 years. So if someone at most should be 12 years, I'll consider that factor. Maybe the person did not begin early or a slow learner. So if you are seeing someone in nursery school at 20, at 25, kindergarten 25, 30, and so on, that person is an outlier because it is the range is so distinct. Like there is so much gap. Like the gap between 12 and 20, that gap is too wide. So that's what I mean by outliers. And which visual do you use for that? You use your scatter chart. You use your scatter chart for that. We also have the map chart, which you can use it for, you want to see by, let me quickly work with that. Let's say I want to see by, let me use my field map. I'm going to select, I had region. So let me say total sales by country. So I'm going to say total sales, not total sales, let's say sales. I'm going to select sales, and I'm also going to select which by, let's say by country. Do I have country? Do I have states? So let's select by states. So you can see that this is by state. Anyone you want to work with, you can work with the map, anyone you want to work with. But before, whenever you have your state selected, I'm going to make emphasis to this. So let's switch back to my table view. For my table view, let me go to which was a location. I have my state selected. So for this, my state, I'm going to use this drop down. Data category should be in states or province. And for this city, I'm coming to that. For this city, I have my city selected. It's going to show you this is region. More like it is kind of a city, like for maps, it helps with map. So I'm going to change that, not uncategorized. I'm going to use the drop down to city. So when you're working with maps, please try to change from data category not summarized to that. So you can see if I hover around, you can turn on the data labels. So you can go to your map settings. This is US, United States. You can turn on your data settings. You can go to field colors. You can change minimum, maximum. You can turn the gradient. So this is minimum. You hover around. So the deeper ones are the ones that generated the most revenue and so on. So I hope I've been able to cover everything I have to do. And in just 6 minutes, I just want to take questions. Yeah, and outlier is a value. I had to really use real life. Well, Good, that's good, that's good. So do you have any questions? I'm looking at the chat box. The class is over. So I'm just looking at questions. Do you have questions? Okay, yeah, you just go ahead and ask your questions. We have 5 minutes to go. Go ahead and ask your questions. Did I model before visualizing? My data models automatically, I said yesterday, by default, your Power BI would always automatically detect a relationship for you. So in cases that a relationship would not be detected, you can go ahead to create a relationship between these tables. Because these tables have similarities, rather they have a linking column. What links these two tables together? If I hover around this line, you will see customer ID is links them together. Over around this order, access product ID, over around this location ID, by over around this sales rep ID. So it was automatically detected for me. That's what Power BI does. So on that note, I can go to, this is my view tab, and expand to properties. This is my data model. There's something I'm looking for. Okay, yeah, manage relationships. So this is, you can go to on the relationship tabs. You can see that these are relationships that are active. This is on the many side, and this is the one side. So you can see active, active, active. It is auto-detected. This is auto-detected. So it was auto-detected. You can go ahead to create a new relationship if you want to. Wow, a lot of updates in Power BI. So which other question?
Okay, thank you very much, Awa. It has been an awesome night again. Okay, so I have some questions here. At least I have one from YouTube that I would like you to attend to. Okay, so let me just quickly read this. Uh, it goes thus. Please confirm, assuming we had column charts as an option in the knowledge check, can we choose column charts? Thank you. Okay, so
Hello?
let me say it again. Say, please confirm,
Knowledge check.
assuming we had column charts as an option in the knowledge check, can we choose column charts? Thank you.
Which knowledge? I had 3 knowledge checks, so please, you have to be specific. Which knowledge check was that?
I'm not actually sure of the knowledge check is maybe twins. You need to twins you are watching on YouTube. You can just give more clarity for the facilitator to.
Let me
Which
just, can
condition?
I?
Okay. You can speak to it if you have the answer, if you have the response.
Because I did a lot of knowledge checks, so I don't know the particular one he's referring to. So I'm just.
For you to respond to that, I think we need to move on with another question.
Okay,
Okay,
please just
so
ask that question.
Monday Alpha asked this question, said, please, which condition will warrant the use of a map?
Okay, which condition?
Yeah, warrant the use of a map.
Yes, you need a data, you need network internet, you need network for your map visuals. Your map visuals would not load without network connection, but other visuals can work without network.
Okay. So he asked that question, could one use map in a situation where it is not countries?
You can use map for states. Map is for states, countries. You can use map for states and countries.
Okay. So please can you drop the link? Okay. This is Twins from YouTube. My question is particular to where we compare line charts to column charts. Okay, so he that responded, he said his question is about the knowledge check where we compared column charts to line charts.
Okay, okay, I know where he's having issues with. For a line chart, let me just take this out. A line chart is used to show trends over time. I want to take that out. So just specifically, I'm coming, just give me a few minutes. So let me take this here. I can just leave it here. So this is a line chart. A line chart is suitable for showing trends over time, but this is a clustered column chart. You can't use this for showing trends over time. At least someone can easily pick, oh, there was a sharp increase in the month of March, there was a sharp increase in the month of November. And in this category, we have just been having steady low sales from the month of April to the month of August. But in cases where the data set is not complete, this is where you use a column bar chart. Where I gave a similar example when we were working with this, I gave an example to this. So you can see this data is incomplete. That's why you are seeing this slash, like kind of high peak and low peak, because we cannot drill from March 28th to April 1st. So this data set was incomplete. That's why they made use of a column chart, a column chart. Like for miss,
Oh,
whenever you have missing data, that's when you use the column chart.
okay, thank you very much, Awak. I'm very sure that this has been an awesome time. You have all enjoyed today's class. It has been impactful and also valuable. So we are going to continue our conversation in the Telegram group. Our facilitators also in the group. So do well to ask your questions there. The attendance link has been drawn severally. Please do make sure to fill the attendance. It is very, very important. Please, as we close today's class, I want you to celebrate the facilitator with your favorite emoji because she has done very, very, very well. Thank you very much, Awa, for your time. And everyone, thank you for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget, it is a practice that makes perfection. You need to continue to practice what you've learned so that you can be a master of what you have learned. Take care of yourself and do enjoy the rest of your day. See you tomorrow. Bye.